covered over that you'll be just before. You'll never find the true satisfaction until you found the Lord. For only Jesus can satisfy your soul. It's only Jesus can satisfy your soul. And only He can change your life and make you whole. He'll give you peace you'll never knew, sweet love and joy in heaven too. For only Jesus can satisfy your soul. If you have the fame and fortune and the wealth you can obtain, yet you have no prize within you, and here will be in vain. There'll be a time when death will call you. Riches and fame cannot help you, for only Jesus can satisfy your soul. It's only Jesus can satisfy your soul. Only He can change your life and make you whole. You'll never knew, sweet love and joy in heaven too. For only Jesus can satisfy your soul. It's only Jesus can satisfy your soul. Only He can change your life and make you whole. He'll give you peace you'll never knew, sweet love and joy in heaven too. For only Jesus can satisfy your soul.
There are two champions, Itiako, who were recorded, who have stood their faith firmly. They have contended for the faith. And history will tell they were being despised, they were being hated, they were being rejected because of contending for the truth. Well, there's so many of them, but for this morning, I would just like to give an example kada kayo. One example is ginagan like may nga di pa ni John Huss, or some people would say John Hus. It was in July 4, 1415. That was the recorded time where this man was being burned at the stake. It was being founded out this man stood for the truth. He defended the truth against the Roman Catholicism. He defended the truth because of many teachings that were being taught by the Roman Catholics that time. That awan gamit the Bible, and there came a time that the John Huss nga right to get tiniluda. He was a priest at the time. But upon knowing the Word of God, his conscience could not be bounded up. Ang may balod ti konsensyana, he stood for the truth. And they tried to sentence him to death. They tried to put him in plaza together with the books na, kinumpala the books na, pour that isang wana niti publiko. They invited all the public in display the isuna kat no pagbutang dang kada kayo kitaan nyo no kahit kung sumurot kanya na. And they tried to say, you can still escape. No ibabawin, dagito yung inaramid mo. But John Hus said, I won't recant. And for that reason, for that for that reason nga kung dagi nararamid na, kung dagi pananglaban na kani Pope, panangkontra na kani Pope, kung dagi adung unbiblical practices already in the church. Because of that event, kinaramid na, they burn him at the stake and they titikunan na. History will tell that he was being disrobed, inikat na di-robe na. And they put a paper crown iti head na. Nga tinakasurat di paper crown di ulo na kat this is the arch heretic. And kunani John Huss, when they did that to him, Lord, maragsakan nak nga mangi corona daytoy crown nga daytoy para kanyang. And later on, kunani John Huss kudagiti mangpur kanyanan, he made a statement that is very, very important, that rang after 100 years, di pa nakapurna. And this statement is this: you are now going to burn a goose, referring kanya na ganso. Puuran nyo, iti may nga ganso. But in 100 years, you will have a swan which you cannot roast nor boil. 100 years from now, tatanga pa nakapur ko, I would like to tell you, adati may nga ganso nga bangunan iti apo nga he would sing, and you could not stop this swan from singing for the Lord. And don't you know that after 100 years nga napasamak, the 95 Thesis was being posed yerwangan the church ni Martin Luther. And he was the fulfillment of the prophecy ni John Huss after 100 years. There was also a man named Charles Haddon Spurgeon, medyo famous iso na kadatayo, because he was called the Prince of the Baptist Preachers. They said his denomination, dagiti grupo ti Baptist di Chimpuna, that they rejected him because of his stand. There came a time di Chimpuna where a lot of the churches have fallen iti false teaching, iti kunatong liberal teachings. Dito di susuro nga the Bible kat haan nga amin dita kat sa utiapo, portions lang dita kat sa utiapo. Here was a situation where a lot of false teachers are being accepted in the fellowship. Churches are fellowshipping with dagiti kunatayo nga hangapudpudno nga Christians. That's why this man was being beaten iti controversy nga kunati nga the downgrade controversy. He was being rejected by his denomination nga Baptist, and the worst is he made a Bible school, and majority of his students hated him. It was also said nga dito kapsat na. Dito kapsat na nga ekspektaran na nga magsuporta kanya na that he turned his back on him. He died being persecuted and being rejected by his fellow brethren because of his stand. Well, one time in his life he said, he made a statement na kunana, and it will never be forgotten. The people before kunada, 10 years, 20 years from now, malipatan ti amin nga tao ni Spurgeon, because he was one of the famous preachers in his time. In their mockery, panangkankatsaw da kanya na, mapukaw to iso na, puputan nyo, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, malipatan to ti tao iso na, and generation and history will be kaluban ng to itibiyag ni Spurgeon. Well, kunani Spurgeon at the time, I am quite willing to be eaten by dogs, referring to the persecution na mangyari kanya na. I am quite willing to be eaten by dogs for the next 50 years, but the more distant future shall vindicate me. Kagat-kagatan nak ti tao tata, kasla aso, kagat-kagatan nak, but I give my hope iti apo, after 50 years from now, the future and time, God will use time and the next generation to vindicate me. After 50 years, di kunada nga pagtuda nga mapukaw ni Charles Spurgeon, Amin nga pastor, idi tiyempo na nga sikat na lipatan da. Ingana tata 27th agrugi di panakatay na idi 1891. Ingana tata the only famous preacher that is well known. Ingana tata kata. Familiar itinagan na tinagan nga Charles Haddon Spurgeon. He was vindicated. Well, this morning, tipagtutungtungan tayo it is all about this. The destruction of God's contender. The destruction of God's man or God's woman of faith. The verse 23, naadol tayo di napalabas the first nga phrase. And I don't like nga palpason da ito yung phrase nga that verse nga ito nga hanting nga na-appreciate that verse 23. The verse 23, the focus of our God's message this morning, kada katangag sa pakat dayti ko na nga hating even the garment is spotted by the flesh. It is a hard thing to do the work of God in contending for the faith. It caused betrayal. It caused persecution from people and from our family. It caused mockery from our neighbors and friends. Yes, indeed. We will be hated by many people. Mariga. And as we do the work of the Lord, a statement that has been said by Jude, kaslang awan iti banur na dito. But as I tried to study it, I came to realize na this verse is also a very important verse. I would like to say that as we contend for the faith, we must also guard ourselves because nahanting nga bantayan iti bagi tayo. As we do the work of the Lord in contending for the faith, because of negligence, because of carelessness, on the way and in the process of defending and contending for the faith, it might lead us iti panakadadan. I'm reminded of a man who was a well-known preacher iti 1980s, in 80s, I think, in 90s. Amamuda pa lang dito ni Swagart. He was a very good preacher. He was a very known well preacher. I never saw a preacher like him itatanga chimpo. A man that is on fire for the Lord. But later on, as he did his work to be a preacher of the Lord, it came to be found out nga natinag-isuna iti morality, prostitute. This contender of the Lord had made an error, a self-destruction on his part. Well, that's the hardest thing kada tayo nga naktiapo as we contend for the faith. Because of carelessness and negligence, later on the devil, in his craftiness, he might be very successful in putting us down. That's why iti minsay tatangag sa kada kayo is this. That iti title na kataytoy. The destruction of God's man or God's woman. Well, brothers, the whole point iti minsay tatanga sa kada kayo is this. My brethren, stay away or guard yourself from any contamination that will lead you to your own destruction. Guard yourself from any contamination that will lead you from your own destruction. Kuna di verse, the garment, kay magbagana dito katibado, and it is spotted by the flesh. It is just a symbolism that the garment nga dito, because it talks about our life. It talks about our Christian life. And the Bible said, kunana dito, hating the garment spotted. This garment kat kitaan tayo, tahaan mamansyaan. Well, very important kada tayo when we go to the office, nga nalinis tayo. When we go to the school, we hated the marka distinct. Di bado tayo. We hated it. And when this was presented, iti panunot ni Jude is the priest of the Old Testament when they present iti sacrifice. Before they present iti sacrifice, they make sure nga iti garment da as a priest iti apo as they would offer the sacrifice na iti tao, it should be clean. But the garment da kat narugitan iti stained with dagiti adati sakit na tao, contaminated with dagiti rugi is panag-sacrifice da. What the priest do in the Old Testament, sukatan da dijay, agala da tibado nga nalilinis man. Haan nga mabalin nga narugit da nga sumangot ti sangwanan iti Apo. Or else it will disqualify their sacrifice, it will disqualify their office, o uray no isuda kat may sangapadi. So ti kasapulan kat they make sure nga their garments as they present iti offerings dagiti tawo, it should be clear. It should be clean, it should be pure. That's the same idea kay Jude. As we do our task in contending for the faith, the Bible said, and the Bible challenges, nga make sure na kita nga itibiyag mo kat awan ti stain ti baso. Well, I would like this morning, I would like to present to you 3 contaminating and destructive stain that leads us to our own self-destruction as God's contender of the faith. These are the things that will destroy your testimony. This will disqualify you in the contending in the work of contending for the faith. This will put you to shame. Mangibabain kana kalang ti sangwanan ni ti Apo. And these are the things that we are to stay away from. And I would like to present to you this contagious and deadly stain that we must avoid. And this is the first. Hate any contaminating and destructive stain of apostasy in your life. Hate any contaminating and destructive stain of apostasy in your life. Well, this is the point iti Jude. Adu ti mangibaga nga isuda Kristiyano. Many of them are gathering in the church. Many of them profess to be Christians. Some of them are even teachers of the Word. Some of them are even handling the Word of God. Ni kunani Jude, as we try to look at these people, dagiti nga tao katanga pudpudno nga nisalakan. And could you just imagine iti may nga church? Could you just imagine iti may nga church nga dati church nga dati ket it is being crowded by many people who are not yet saved. We believe nga dagiti apostates nga dagitoy ket they are unsaved people. These are kunatay nga professing Christians. These are people nga kunatay nga who said to be who proclaim before people that they are Christians, but actually they are not real Christians. It is angwanan iti. Well, I would like to tell you that a church that has lost the gospel of Christ is a church that ushers people to the belly of hell. It becomes a transportation going to hell. Could you just imagine a church that a church will not preach the gospel of Christ? What is the problem nga niya tinangyari dito churches nga nakita ni Jude? The problem here was they have forsaken the gospel of Christ. These people are attending the church. They're gathering every Sunday, probably by numbers kat nagaduda. Namaapay nga niya tinangyari dito nga church. Aduda nga agpaiso, but there's a problem in the message. They have turned their back to the gospel of Christ. They are there teaching the Bible. They are there probably preaching, but they never mention about the gospel of Christ. And ayat effect na dagiti churches, kung dagiti Christians nga sinuratan ni Jude, it causes dagiti churches nga dagitoy, adu tagur unong agpay sunom adu matiti ko natayo nga hangapudpud ng agpisan. Well, a church, I would like to tell you that the church, what makes a church useful? And that is the message of the gospel. And if a church will turn his back, and if a church will betray his calling to stand for the gospel, could you just imagine dagitan naktay nga kadwa-kadwa tayo ditoy, but this church is preparing our children and your grandchildren to hell? It is just like a transportation jeepney nga mapanye, highway nga mapanagturong, mangitulong dagitan naktayo di impyerno. And that's why kuna ni Apo Diyos, this is the stain that happened in the churches nga dito. There is a stain that is so contaminating, contagious, deadly stain. And what is that? There is apostasy in the church. What is the source of apostasy? the forsaking of the gospel of Christ. Why is it that there are so many Christians, kunatayo nga haangay nga pudpuno nga Kristiyano, yet claiming to be Christians, because kunada, haandan mo nga mga iti gospel, iti iti simbahan. The only thing that you can hear yung nagtisimbahan kat positive things. The preaching ijay kat it talks about the government. It talks about the moral issues in life. Hanga problema dagay, we believe in those things. We teach those things, but first, there is a very important message that this church must guard and must protect. And what is that? The gospel of Christ. To protect this church from apostasy. If we like this church to extend its longevity, ti testimonya, ti sumarsaruno, ma-extend ti testimonya, ti sumarsaruno nga generation, anya ti kasapulan tayo. We need to protect, we need to master and preserve and contend and advance and defend the gospel of Christ. My brothers in the Lord, examine your life if there is a stain of apostasy. If a church is governed and dominated by apostates, what would happen? Mapasamak niya yung pastor, ibagbagam. Anya nga iti mapasamak para tayo. Well, it will slowly kill the church. If we split, dati tilablabang ni Spurgeon. Almost all the churches are turning away. They have lost a firm grasp of the gospel. Agpakpakasin ni Spurgeon, kastoy isublita iti kastoy, haan, anya ti bagbagang. And slowly by slowly, they have entertained the doctrine of Darwinism, jay unag iti church evolution. Anya ti kunatan, anya ti napasamak di chimpo ni Spurgeon. Well, estudya ko na ni Spurgeon, hangkay nga bumayag no kasta. Churches have started to be degraded. When we forget the gospel, it is just like having a cancer in the body. Iti may sa nga tao nga dati cancer na katahan nga bigla nga pamambiya kat agkakapsukan. Usually, kaduan nga sakit iti cancer kat slowly by slowly it is eating the body. Slowly by slowly until awanan ti pigsana di bagi, awanan strength na di health mo. And then later on, diagnosed, maramdaman mamuandan stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 ti bagsak na. Because that's how cancer works, slowly by slowly. It kills the immune system, and it is just like rottening the body. Departing from the gospel of Christ is just like a tree that is filled, nagpintas nga kayo, but it is slowly being attacked by termites. Nag-atake ni termite, adapay lang kita for a year, adapay lang, but later on, a symptom nga di kayo nga di kat matmataya, rugi nga brown di kayo na, and later on, makitamlangan di apay awanan. Tugtugong di sirok na, ni napulo mo to, narukuputan. Awanan mo ti kargana. The termites had eaten the internal portion and parts they had. And that is the equivalent of turning away from the gospel. It is a way of slowly by slowly killing the church of God. It is a euthanasia in the church of God. Slowly by slowly killing that person. My brothers in the Lord, this is a stain that has corrupted the church ngayon address ni Jude. That's why, guard, my brothers, guard your life from any deadly stain of apostasy. Examine yourself whether you are really a Christian. Because if not, it will kill the church. It will kill also the pastors. The pastors has many plans, but the members could not handa nga makisabay di pastor. Why? It is because adu kanya da kathanda kay manay salakan. Will they appreciate the vision di pastor no isu da nga mismo kathanda na salakan? The Bible said, "Ibulang mo iti perlas di kulungan ti baboy, will the pig be happy? Ibulang mo di kwintas mo?" Will the pig say, "Thank you dahil tingayitan mo kanya kwintas ko, sing-sing ko"? Even the pearl, the pig doesn't mind it and won't mind the word di bulang. Even do na banur, kunam di perlas nga diay, but for the pigs, awan pa na. That is the same thing when Jesus said, that story. He said, "Ure kada tayo nga anak ti ako. If the church is being infiltrated by apostates, if the church is being dominated, iti claiming Christians, even though we have many plans to advance the work, handa nga makikuyog apay, pagkan ano na nga vision mo. They won't mind the things of the Lord." The Bible is clear. Natural man, for them, the spiritual things of God, it is foolishness, a waste of time. And they won't mind the things of the Spirit of God. Because to them, I want the worst. And it would kill many pastors. My brothers in the Lord, a church is not an undertaker of souls to hell. A church is not an undertaker of souls to hell. A church was being built by the Lord, established by the Lord, to be a place, to be a pillar, and to be a ground of God's truth. It is to be a place where people would listen to the gospel of Christ. My brothers, haan tayo nga mang daily church, in that I say, our calling is not to be an undertaker. Nga mangikalkali, mangitulturong lang ititaw, timpyer. Every people hindi nga mumay, we make sure and we help them to examine their life whether they are really in the gospel of Christ. The church business is not programs and entertainments. The church business is not to propagate iti barbaro nga method nga fun, but the church business is to be an institution of God where God's firefighters are there and they have one mission to snatch the people out from the burning hell.
That longing deep in your soul, you may search this wide world over, but you'll be just before. You'll never find the true satisfaction until you found the Lord. For only Jesus can satisfy your soul. Only Jesus can satisfy your soul, and only He can change your life and make you whole. He'll give you peace you'll never know, sweet love and joy in heaven too. For only Jesus can satisfy your soul. If you have the fame and fortune and the wealth you can obtain, yet you have no prize within you, living here will be in vain. Living in time when death will call you, riches and fame cannot help you, for only Jesus can satisfy your soul. It's only Jesus can satisfy your soul. Only He can change your life and make you whole. You'll never knew, sweet love and joy in heaven too. For only Jesus can satisfy your soul. satisfy your soul.